Welcome to Chasing Curiosity TV. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. On the morning of September 22, 2025, the tranquil waters and sleepy coastline of Subic Bay were suddenly disrupted by a deep, resonant roar. The source, a U.S. Air Force C-17 Globemaster III, its engines echoing across the bay and reverberating through the quiet neighborhoods nearby. Descending from the clouds with unmistakable presence, the massive transport aircraft touched down without prior warning, catching local residents off guard. Some rushed outside, shielding their eyes from the morning sun as the enormous plane made its approach. The sudden arrival sent shockwaves not only through the local community but also through diplomatic circles across the region. This was no ordinary flight. This was a deliberate, calculated signal broadcast for all to see. In the tense and contested waters of the South China Sea, every military maneuver is closely watched, every landing scrutinized. The arrival of the C-17 was a clear message. The United States can project power and reach this critical theater with remarkable speed and precision whenever it chooses. The timing was no coincidence. The C-17's arrival came just weeks after a tense and highly publicized standoff between Chinese and Philippine vessels near the disputed Second Thomas Shoal, a flashpoint that had already raised regional tensions. For the United States, this landing was more than a show of force. It was a demonstration of unwavering commitment to its allies, effectively transforming the Philippines into a forward operating base and signaling a new era of military cooperation. The contents of the C-17's cargo hold remained shrouded in secrecy, sparking intense speculation among observers. Was it advanced surveillance equipment, humanitarian supplies, or perhaps the arrival of military planners preparing for something bigger? This deliberate ambiguity was itself a strategic move, forcing rivals and allies alike to consider a range of unsettling possibilities and to rethink their own plans. In a single dramatic landing, the U.S. had done more to focus the attention of regional leaders and strategists than a dozen official statements or press releases ever could. The strategic landscape was instantly altered. The board had been reset, compelling every player in the region to recalculate their next move and reconsider their alliances. For Beijing, the landing was nothing short of a thunderclap, a stark reminder that American power could appear on their doorstep at a moment's notice. For Manila, it was both an opportunity and a risk, a chance to strengthen ties with a powerful ally, but also a reminder of the dangers that come with being at the center of great power competition. The game in the South China Sea had just changed in an instant. The world was watching, and the next moves would shape the future of the region. Subic Bay's deep waters have long been a geopolitical prize, coveted by empires and nations for their strategic location and natural protection. For centuries, its calm harbors have drawn the ambitions of foreign powers, each seeking to control the gateway to the Pacific. For nearly a century, it was the heart of American naval power in the Pacific, projecting influence across Southeast Asia. Subic Bay was more than just a base. It was a symbol of U.S. commitment to the region, a bustling hub where thousands of sailors, ships, and aircraft came and went, shaping the tides of history. Its closure in 1992 marked a new era of Philippine sovereignty, a proud moment for a nation reclaiming its land. But the departure of the U.S. Navy left a vacuum, one that China has steadily and strategically moved to fill over the decades since. The base's infrastructure remains weathered but resilient, its strategic value undiminished by time. The echoes of past conflicts linger in the rusting docks and empty barracks, reminders of Subic Bay's enduring importance. Military planners know whoever controls Subic Bay holds a key advantage in any South China Sea conflict. Its location offers a launchpad for rapid response, intelligence gathering, and power projection, making it a linchpin in regional security calculations. The recent landing of a C-17 is heavy with symbolism, a possible reversal of decades-old trends, and a signal to allies and rivals alike that the U.S. presence may be returning in force. For years, the U.S. relied on joint exercises and rotational access, maintaining a careful balance between presence and respect for Philippine sovereignty. These drills kept the alliance alive but always stopped short of permanence. Now, the landing hints at something more operational, perhaps even permanent. The unloading of equipment and personnel suggests preparations for a longer stay, a new chapter in the base's storied history. China's assertiveness in the South China Sea has forced Manila and Washington to rethink strategy, drawing them closer together in the face of growing regional tensions and uncertainty. Subic Bay could again host warships alongside commercial vessels, blending commerce and security in a delicate balance. The port's revival as a military hub would reshape the region's strategic landscape. Geography is destiny. Subic Bay is a secure staging point near the contested Spratlys and Scarborough Shoal, offering proximity to flashpoints that could define the future of the Indo-Pacific. The roar of the C-17 is history circling back, echoing the days when Subic Bay was alive with the thunder of military might and the uncertainty of global rivalry. The logic of the past is urgently relevant again, as old alliances are tested and new threats emerge. Subic Bay stands at the crossroads of memory and possibility, its fate intertwined with the shifting currents of power. Subic Bay's ghosts are stirring, their stories whispering through the empty halls and overgrown runways, reminding us that history is never truly past. The future is being written on familiar ground, as Subic Bay once again becomes a stage for great power competition, and a symbol of hope, resilience, and the enduring quest for security in uncertain times. News of the C-17's landing reached Beijing in minutes. China's response was swift, a sharp diplomatic rebuke, accusing the US of stoking tensions. The foreign ministry warned the Philippines against inviting a wolf into the house. But words were just the start. Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels shifted into aggressive formations. Surveillance flights increased along Philippine airspace. Missile systems on China's artificial islands went on alert. Beijing sees the South China Sea as its backyard, a core interest. The US move at Subic Bay is a direct challenge to China's anti-access strategy. The risk of miscalculation rises with every patrol and flyby. China is signaling, there will be consequences. The dragon is not just watching, it's preparing. The stakes are higher than ever. The region holds its breath. The C-17's landing was a deliberate move in the Indo-Pacific chess game. For the US, it reassures the Philippines. The Mutual Defense Treaty is real, not just words. It's also a demonstration of dynamic force employment, flexible, unpredictable, and hard to target. The US doesn't need massive bases. It can project power from a network of agile locations. This landing is proof. America can establish a foothold anywhere, anytime. The goal is deterrence, making China think twice before further aggression. Even a small US presence raises the risks for Beijing. An incident involving American personnel could escalate rapidly. The move forces China to reveal its intentions. Will Beijing escalate, intimidate, or adapt? The C-17 is a strategic probe, testing red lines. Washington is raising the stakes to restore deterrence. The chessboard is reset. The next moves will define the region's future. For the Philippines, the C-17's arrival brings both relief and anxiety. The nation is caught between its US ally and its powerful neighbor China. American presence is welcome support after years of Chinese harassment at sea. President Marcos Jr. has pivoted back to Washington seeking protection. Expanded US access under EDICIA is a logical response to China's aggression. But this strategy carries risks. Closer US ties could make the Philippines a target. Many Filipinos fear becoming a battleground in a superpower conflict. There's debate over sovereignty and the dangers of returning to a client state status. Manila must balance US support with the reality of China's economic clout. The C-17 at Subic Bay crystallizes this dilemma: protection or provocation. The government walks a diplomatic tightrope. The stakes are national survival. The eagle and the dragon circle overhead. The Philippines hopes neither destroys its home. The C-17's landing is rooted in decades-old alliances. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty commits the US and Philippines to each other's defense. Recent US clarifications make clear attacks in the South China Sea trigger the treaty. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, allows US troops and facilities on Philippine bases. It's not a return to permanent bases, but a flexible, forward presence. The C-17 at Subic, though not an official EDCA site, shows the alliance's adaptability. These agreements enable joint exercises like Balikatan, building real-world capability. The alliance's legacy is a ready-made platform for US power projection. History shapes strategy. Old pacts meet new threats. The C-17's mission turns theory into action. The alliance, forged in past wars, is now aimed at a rising China. Treaties and shared history are assets China can't easily match. The landing was no accident. It was built on 70 years of cooperation. Subic Bay's runway is paved with history. At the heart of the dispute is a clash between law and power, a struggle where ideals meet hard realities on the open sea. The South China Sea has become a stage where legal principles and military might collide, each side determined to shape the future of the region. The Philippines, standing firm on international law, relies on UNCLOS and its landmark 2016 legal victory at The Hague. This ruling invalidated China's sweeping claims, affirming the Philippines' rights within its exclusive economic zone, and setting a precedent for smaller nations seeking justice through legal means. Yet, China has chosen to ignore the ruling, continuing to build artificial islands, expand its military presence, and harass Filipino and other Southeast Asian vessels. These actions escalate tensions and undermine the authority of international courts. The rules-based order, painstakingly built over decades, is under threat if major powers disregard international law. The world watches closely, aware that the erosion of these norms could have far-reaching consequences beyond the South China Sea. U.S. actions, such as the C-17 landing in the Philippines and regular freedom of navigation patrols, are meant to reinforce the legal order and demonstrate commitment to upholding international norms. By operating in these contested areas, the U.S. challenges China's expansive claims with concrete actions, not just diplomatic statements, signaling that the world's most powerful navy stands behind the principle of free and open seas. The presence of the C-17 and joint patrols enhances the U.S.-Philippine ability to monitor, respond and patrol disputed waters, strengthening their partnership and deterrence in the face of growing challenges. Now, law and force are in direct competition, each maneuvering for advantage. The courtroom and the open sea have become parallel arenas in this high-stakes contest. The Philippines holds the legal high ground, armed with international support and court rulings. China, however, wields the military advantage, projecting power through its growing fleet. The U.S. tries to bridge this gap with its presence, offering reassurance and backing to its ally, while signaling to China that aggression will not go unanswered. But this involvement risks turning a legal dispute into a military standoff, raising the stakes and the potential for miscalculation. Every patrol, every flight, every maneuver is now a test of wills, a demonstration of resolve that could tip the balance between peace and conflict. The risk of collision, both literal and figurative, between law and force grows with each encounter, as navies and air forces operate in ever closer proximity. The consequences of a misstep could be devastating not just for those directly involved, but for the entire region and the fragile order that holds the peace. The C-17's arrival marks a step up the escalation ladder. The U.S. has moved from statements and exercises to deploying strategic assets forward. China responds in kind, more patrols, higher alerts. This is the classic action-reaction cycle of great power rivalry. Each side feels compelled to match the other, raising the stakes. The danger, with every step up, it's harder to step back down. Next rungs could see China blockading features or declaring an air defense zone. The U.S. might deploy more forces or directly escort Philippine missions. The risk of miscalculation grows. An accident could spark a wider conflict. Leaders aren't sleepwalking into war, but the margin for error is shrinking. The C-17's landing compresses decision time for all parties. The ladder is steeper, the top lost in fog, the region teeters on the edge. Every move now matters. The C-17's landing is a warning, but also a call for urgent diplomacy. Rising tensions make clear communication and de-escalation channels vital. U.S.-China military dialogues must be restored to prevent accidents from spiraling. For the region, this is a moment to push for a binding code of conduct in the South China Sea. The crisis should inject urgency into stalled negotiations. Clear rules and dispute mechanisms are the best hope for peace. Middle powers, Japan, Australia, the EU, can support law and stability. A multilateral approach shows this is a global concern, not just a U.S.-China issue. All sides must recognize war here would be catastrophic for everyone. The C-17 is a stark reminder of the dangers ahead. Its most important effect may be to force a diplomatic reckoning. Leaders must find the wisdom to step back from the brink. Negotiation and cooperation are the only off-ramps. The time to choose is now.